What's up? I am going to do a tutorial on boxcar. This one specifically, it sounded like there were some people out there that were saying that the tutorials were lacking the explanation of what a hotbar is and what a loadout is and what a character is or whatever. So we'll just start there. This is like a fresh install. We're just going to be very, very basic. Uh, we'll create a character and we'll call it Bob. Okay. Um, you'll see Bob is down here now. I'm gonna, and Bob is on the main window. If you go to Windows, main always exists. You can't delete the main window. It's just the default window. I'm gonna scale it up so that we can see it better in this video. Um, and you can see now, Bob is a character. This is what we call like a character button. When you click a character button, it just switches to that game client that's associated with that character. A character also comes with a default hotbar. So the buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on and on and on. That is what we would consider in Boxcar a hotbar. So every character has a default hotbar associated to it. Now there's also hotbars. Hotbars are not characters; they are just buttons. Um, and so we'll just call this one hotbar 1. We'll create one, and you'll see, oh, now we have another row of buttons here, but it's not associated to a character. We could click show hotbar names, and you'll see this is hotbar 1. And so the one thing about character, the default hotbar for characters, if you look at the edit a button, it comes with a pre-canned command. And that command basically being the character, click key 1, click key 2, all the way down, right? So it's like pretty much designed to work out of the box with EverQuest. You could just have a character with, your 12 buttons that are the default keybinds in EverQuest, and it just works. And that's kind of the thought behind that. Now, the difference with the hotbar, since there's not a character, the command is blank. So these aren't just going to start working when you create them. They're not going to do anything. You're going to have to manually go in here and fill this out. You're going to have to do this. That's how you're going to have to do it. And so, that's just how it works. You know. Now, one thing you can do, so say for instance you don't want to have, let's say we create, hotbar 2 and, maybe even hotbar 3. And so now we have all these hotbars, but maybe I don't want all of these to be available all the time, but I want to make them available to Bob when I need them. So one thing you could do is you can associate hotbars to a character, and then it collapses to that character. So now I can swap between them. So I guess like a good way to do this would be, let's just edit this one to be called this, give this one a custom title of bar or bar 1. Was this on hotbar 1? I'm not sure. Maybe not. Let's close that. Let's look at. No, that wasn't bar 1. But anyway, we'll call this bar 2. And what is this one? Bar 3. So, now we kind of have some custom titles there. So we're on bar 3, bar 1, bar 2, the default. So you can kind of see that, like, say for instance, you wanted to have Bob have, multiple personas, and you just wanted to swap between them. So say you had 3 personas, and you wanted this bar just to reflect, like, your 1 through 12 for each persona. And, these could be like, this could be like Nuke, and maybe this one down here, maybe this bar 2 is your healer. Maybe this is like your heal macro, whatever. And so it's like, oh, you could switch, from your mage where this key 1 is to nuke, and then you can go back to your healer, and key 1 is to heal. So tons of flexibility with hotbars. You can use them a ton of different ways. I also don't. Sometimes I have like commands that are just like relative group commands that have nothing to do with specific characters. Then you just have like you have your group command, and you create that hotbar, and that hotbar just lives down here, and it has all the like follow or whatever you do. The whole point is like most of this is like up to you, to how you're gonna do it. Um, but regardless, the hotbars are really cool. Now, um, one thing you could do too is you could do loadouts. So for the loadouts, let's just create another character called Sam, and another character called Lucy, and oh, how did that happen? Get rid of that one. Anyway, so we have you have your Lucy, and you have your Sam and your Bob. You got this going. Um, and what you could do is when you go to loadouts, a loadout is a snapshot of the settings that are currently there. So what windows are enabled, what characters are enabled, what hotbars are enabled, what is the game process, what is the auto launch commands, what are all those things. It could do a snapshot for 2 different games. Like, so you could have a setup for playing EQ2, you could have a setup for playing EQ1. All that stuff could work. But all you do to create a snapshot is you just say, maybe this is like full group, and you just create it. Bam. Now this is the full group. Now, what if I come back and I say, well, I like to sometimes play with just with Bob, and when I'm playing with just Bob, well, or Bob and Sam, right? So usually boxing here, so it's like you want to play with Bob and Sam, and maybe when I'm playing with the 2 of them, I don't even use the group commands anymore, right? And maybe when I'm playing with the 2 of them, I only have hotbar 1 and 2. And then, I can go back to loadouts. I can create another one and be like, call it Bob and Sam. And you create it. Or same. But either way, so now if I click on full group, it'll go back to that one. If I click on this one, it'll go back to the smaller one. The other cool thing you can do is that, so in this main menu, when you click on something, it's going to give you this confirmation, which is, kind of annoying. But if you go to the tray menu, you can go to loadouts on here, and you can click, oh, Bob and Sam, and it will just be really quick. So loadouts are also great if, for instance, you have certain setups that you do for raiding, or you want extra keys for a certain encounter. Maybe there's like an encounter that you have to do some sort of like weird clicking mechanism on your characters, like you got to click a mask or something, and you don't always need those keys, but you want to have them available to you. You could do a loadout for that. Or if you're just the type of person who has multiple different boxing configurations, and you want to do it that way. And you have different characters, and then that gets into where you can kind of use categories too. So it's like, say you have multiple DPS classes that you like mix in. You could just make them all have the DPS category and similar keybinds, and it will work. Like, you just swap them out. You don't have to like go redo all your commands or anything. So basically, that's the gist of it all. We have characters are a character that's associated to it. It comes with a character button that just default switches to it. You have hotbars, which a character has a default hotbar. Hotbars can be associated to characters, and you have to fill out the commands yourself, and you can learn about commands in the wiki. So if you just go to the wiki, which is just right here, and if you want to see the wiki like in web and not in this menu, you can go find it on GitHub. It's in the boxcar GitHub. If you want to add to it, you can add to it. You can open up a pull request, whatever you want to do. But you could find out about commands here. about how to write them, like what are all the different types of modifications and actions you can do. And then, there's like examples here of complex actions. So it's, you know, world's your oyster. You could have these be super long for all I care. Uh, you know, I see people doing this with like 7, 8 characters, which is crazy. I never thought people were gonna take it that far, but I typically like 2, 3, maybe 4 box with this. Mostly 3 box, but you know, you can do whatever you want. But yeah, so yeah, the hotbars are just the buttons, and you can do what you want with them. And you can also create additional windows, so you don't have to have just one window. You can have windows and move them wherever you want. You can kind of scale them, to your needs. Um, and, that's basically it. For people that don't know, yeah, you right click on a button, you can select edit button or bar. When you go to edit bar, it gives you the option to reorganize the buttons. So there's these little things. So if I actually wanted just to make, the nuke go over towards the middle, you could do that. So there's these little tiny buttons that let you kind of move things around. You can also enable and disable buttons. So, you may not want, you know, all of these buttons for something, and you can do that. And so when you look at these, like, oh, here it is. We got rid of some of those buttons. So you don't have to have all these buttons. You can change the background colors. You can, change the foreground color. You can change the title. For people that don't know, you can also like do text to speech. So if like when the timer expires, so if you say, hey, this thing is, 2 minutes, 120 seconds, and I want to say, heal ready, that will just play heal, like text to speech heal ready after the 2-minute timer expires. So a lot of cool stuff you can do. Anyway, hopefully this tutorial, even though it was very unstructured and impromptu, answers a ton of questions. Always hit me up on Discord. I'm happy to help people out and try to get them, working with their setup. But anyway, have a great day. Bye.